China says it has indisputable sovereignty over parts of the South China Sea.
Chinese Foreign Ministry said today Beijing would remain firm to defend its rights in the region. That's after the White House said on Monday the US would make sure it protects its own interests in the region.
President Trump has already upset China on the status of Taiwan, and during his campaign he threatened to impose some pretty punishing tariffs on Chinese imports, which could lead to a trade war. So how might China respond to this new American administration? Here's our Beijing correspondent John Sudworth.
China was once isolated behind its Great Wall, but it was here too that its emergence onto the world stage began. In 1972, another combative and controversial US Republican president stood on this wall and used it as a metaphor. Richard Nixon's speech that day looked to a future in which there are no walls between people, laying the foundations, of course, for one of the most important bilateral trading relationships the world has ever seen. The benefits of that relationship have been celebrated by every president since, until now.
America threatens China with 45% import duties on a range of its products. So what are the Chinese going to do? The Chinese aren't going to just take it. They're going to respond more or less in kind, probably.
What are the potential dangers in Donald Trump's strategy?
This is very disturbing, and the consequences for the international system and for the health of the global economy could be enormous.
But at a briefing by senior Chinese diplomats, I put it to them that Mr. Trump is not so much attacking free trade as unfair trade.
Shouldn't China do more to put its money where its mouth is, removing the big subsidies to state-owned enterprises, removing some of the restrictions and denial of market access that still hinders so many foreign companies trying to do business here?
I understand what you mean, but in general, the direction is there, the effort is there, and I have very, very strong belief and confidence in improved general environment for foreign companies.
These days, tourists can gaze into a period in Chinese history when its reluctant rulers were forced to trade by occupying foreign armies.
Few US companies that do business in China today would dispute that significant barriers to trade remain. The question, though, is whether to cajole or to coerce. And Mr. Trump, it seems, may be about to embark upon his own version of gunboat diplomacy.
Over that much-traded commodity tea, they are asked about Mr. Trump's threat to challenge China's territorial claims unless it makes concessions on trade.
He plays with fire. Mr. Trump plays with fire, but China also has fire, and it's going to burn him.
It's trade, of course, that has made China a wealthy superpower, and the stakes couldn't be higher. John Sudworth, BBC News, Beijing.
Such a critical relationship. And to talk more about China, we're joined now by Professor Anne Lee. She's an independent economic advisor.